Hi, I'm Lauren Archer, and it is my incredible honor and privilege to get to work with the legendary Susan Davis Moora in the next evolution of her KINS innovation networks that we are calling KINSHIP Earth. What you're about to see is an edited version of Susan's 80th birthday presentation, where she catches us all up on where she's been for the last 15 years in Vilcabamba, Ecuador. You'll meet her husband, Walter, and learn about the biodynamic farm, Finca Sagrada, that they have created in this beautiful village. You'll also hear from Stephen Gomes, one of our board members, about some collaboration initiatives that we are developing with Susan and Walter in Vilcabamba, as well as some very special guest presentations honoring Susan with her lifetime of achievement as the godmother of social investing. So without further ado, here's Susan.
Thank you, because this is so important to me, because I was with the social investment movement and the other KINS networks for so long. After all the years of building the social investment industry, I left and have been gone for 14 years, and I never had a way or a chance to tell anyone what happened. So this is the story of what happened. It's very magical. I was doing yet another network 15 years ago, and I got a call from one of my best friends, Penny Kelly, who's helped me as much as anyone to create the KINS model. And she said this: Susan, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. You have been working so hard creating these KINS networks that you're going to die sometime this year. And then she hung up. Okay, she's one of my best friends. I know she's a psychic. I took it very seriously, and I decided to stop everything I was doing. Just stop. And that went on for about 6 months, when I got a call from another very good friend of mine, Elisa Gravitz, who started Green America, one of the most important environmental groups. And we were in Washington, actually, visiting. And she said, listen, I hate to ask you this, but there's a woman who's got a phenomenal project that is everything we believe in Ecuador. And it's ready to go, and it seems to be collapsing. And my intuition is just that if you would talk to her and help her, you'd figure out something. So we were good friends. I said, okay. She takes me to the American Indian Museum, and she starts telling me about this project, and it's very complicated and unique and difficult. And I listened, and to myself, I said, I have no idea how to help you, but I continued being cordial and listening to her. And before I knew it, I started saying things that did not come out of my mind. They came out of my mouth, and I couldn't even identify what I was saying. And this went on for 2 hours. At the end of the 2 hours, she stood up and she said, Susan, I can't believe this. Everything you've told me, I know my intuition says is what's going to make it work. So how can I thank you enough? And I know what I'll do. I've just been building a little casita in a very sacred land in Ecuador called Vilcabamba, and I'm going to gift you with 2 weeks in that casita. So to myself, I said, oh my God, Spirit is answering. So Walter and I zip off almost immediately to Vilcabamba. 8 days later, we bought a house. It wasn't quite finished, so they finished it. And then we came down and we decided, well, you know, we have never had a sabbatical, and we've been working so hard for Earth and her people, and we deserve a 6-month sabbatical, and we're doing it. So now we've had a 14-year sabbatical that's worked out really well. But we had to learn the language. We had to figure out where we could be helpful. And we did drop out of touch with, you know, I have so many friends and so many KINS networks. And I was having a real learning experience that took all my attention here. So that's why I dropped out of touch. And so now to be able to come back in touch with so many of you because we've all kind of arrived. Now we have arrived at the reasons that we came here, and we get all the joy of that. And then if that wasn't enough of a miracle, Walter helping someone who had interns wanting to learn biodynamics. So he was teaching biodynamics, and the woman had a friend who was an Ecuadorian woman who had just gotten so sick that she could no longer take care of her 2 disabled children that live on her dirt floor of her cabin every day. She had to sell the farm so that she could get a house in the nearby town of Tumianuma. So the woman came and met Walter and talked to him, and he said, I want to help you, but I only have $45,000 in the bank, and that is not at all going to be enough for you, and you need more than that. It's worth more than that. Anyway, long story short, the woman liked him and whatever, and he did buy the farm for $45,000, but it was completely devastated. They'd all been so old, they hadn't really been able to farm very more, but they'd had all kinds of pesticides, and there wasn't even a walk around the farm. It was in very bad shape. Long story short, he started doing what he could with the farm. And before long, I have a good friend in England, Martine Sweeney. She's very psychic. And we were talking one day, and I told her about the farm, and I just told her what I could tell her. She said, Susan, you know I'm intuitive. My God, what you've bought is sacred land. In fact, I can tell you from here, I can tell you there were sacred sites on it and this and that. She went on and said, I'm coming over. She came almost immediately. She spent 2 weeks. She walked the farm every foot, and she told us where the men's sacred site was on one end of the farm by the river. The women's sacred site was at the other end of the river. And this was, who knows what, the laws were then. Anyway, when she left, she gave me $20,000. I said, Martine, you're our guest. What's this? She said, this is so that you will always put the spiritual power of this farm before everything else. And we've held that 20,000 till this day, and we are, and it's all kind of miraculous. And then if that wasn't enough, Jyoti Ma is one of the Indigenous leaders I respect globally the most. And she has started this group, and she had 2 of the Kogi elders in it. And we were choosing where we were going to have the annual meeting that we always would have on somebody's land. And the Kogi elders said, we have to have it at Susan and Walter's farm because it's incredibly sacred land that has been defiled devastatingly. There's been murders on it. It's been defiled to the end. It has to be restored. And we're going to come and teach you how to do that, which they did 3 times. We were learning as fast as we could. And then the 3rd time they said, okay, this is going to work, but we have to be able to be in touch with you. So we have to build a spirit house on your farm that will connect with our spirit house so that we can keep you on the right track. So sure enough, we did build a spirit house to their definitions, and they came to celebrate that. And we lit the fire for the first time, and a lot of us were there. A lot of them were there, a lot of us were there, and we lit the fire. And then the Kogi Mama looked at Walter and said, of course you know that this fire can never go out. And it never has. And that was how many years ago?
3 years ago.
3 years ago. So I just wanted to give you some kind of idea of how completely different my life has been down here, but how healthy and happy, and I just can't thank God enough, and I can't thank all the people that helped me, like Penny and Martine and everybody, and mostly Walter, of course. So I wanted to tell you that personal story since I ditched you all for 15 years, and I'm sorry about it, and I'm so happy to be back doing gifting whatever I can to Stephen Gomes and Walter and Lauren, because we are making great headway with KINSHIP Earth. The KINSHIPearth.org is thriving. It's got everything that's important from all the networks that you've been in are on that website. And you can gift it to your friends and spread it to your friends, and you can jump back in whatever way that you want. And Walter and I will help you as much as we can to connect with, if you take personal time with me and tell me what your key interests are for the rest of your life, why are you here? then I will do my best to introduce you and make helpful suggestions for how we can all go forward together. So now, Stephen Gomes is a miracle man that I worked with very intensely and successfully quite a while, long time ago. And then he tried to get back in touch with me, but I was in Ecuador. No one knew where I was. So we did, by a miracle, we got reconnected and we decided to work together. We started this nonprofit, KINSHIPearth.org. And then just a short introduction for Lauren, because I had someone helping me who collapsed in the middle of a meeting that we were giving. It was a 3-day meeting. And Stephen said, well, Lauren is here and she's incredible and I know her work and I'm just going to see if she can fill in. Well, she filled in there and we never let her go. she's been taking the helm and being our executive director for more than a year. And she's God-centered to me is all I can say. I couldn't believe the range of gifts and skills and the level of integrity and consciousness that she has. So I'm gifting her to all of you and you'll know what I mean when you get to know her. So first let's have Stephen talk and then Lauren and then Walter's doing incredible things on the farm. You won't believe when you hear, but I want him to tell it as his story. So anyway, I'm so happy to be reconnected with all of you and to be able to reconnect all of you with so many more people, because there have been 40 KINS networks and every one of you is priceless and carefully sought. And, you know, I would spend 6 months to a year to find the people for each of the networks. So Stephen Gomes, I want a drum roll. Ta-da!
Ta-da! Thank you, Susan. I'm not going to take very much time because we are a little bit behind our schedule and we have such wonderful guests and wonderful surprises here for you, Susan, on this wonderful celebration of your life history and the work that you've done on your 80th birthday. We were just there in Vilcabamba and everything you said underplays and understates what we saw there. It was just such a fabulous creation you and Walter have put together in Finca Sagrada. We loved being there. So we stayed at Mother Earth Hotel and Spa. It couldn't have been better. Of course, I have to echo what you said about Lauren, my good friend Lauren. She's amazing. I knew she would bring tremendous value to our organization in this growth stage. So I really am just going to pass it on back to you, Lauren, so that you can be the MC of the events today.
Wonderful. Well, it's so good to meet everyone. And I'm going to take the liberty of doing 2 little adjustments in the schedule. We're going to push the singing happy birthday back a little bit. And what I'd like to do first is introduce our first special guest. So I'm going to share my screen. This is Vilcabamba. And there's the Kogi. This is part of the farm, the land. This is the volunteers and some of the community that they've been building. Walter teaching biodynamics, a little bit about the nonprofit that we've been launching for the past year. And we look forward to introducing you to both Walter and George today. And I'd like to introduce our very first special guest today, Lawrence Ford. Many of you know him, some don't. He is the founder and CEO of Conscious Capital Wealth Management, the founder and chairman of Future Capital in partnership with the United Nations. He's a fellow of the World Academy of Art and Science and the author of The Secrets of the Seasons. And Lawrence, take it away.
Thank you, Lauren. I'm working with this whole screen here and trying to make sure I see. There we are, Susan, your beautiful smile there next to Walter. Awesome.
You are short with me.
So I am here to do a couple things. I want to make some formal remarks, a presentation, and then a little bit of a personal aspect of this. So I don't really know what order I'm going to go in, so I'm just going to do it this way. So I'm going to make some formal remarks first, and then Susan, I will tell you why I'm making those formal remarks with part of the personal introduction of how we met. So as many of you know, Susan Davis has dedicated her life to serving humanity and giving nature a voice. Her life is an inspiring legacy of courageously challenging boundaries and expanding, yes, Susan, higher consciousness.
Whoa!
Yeah, she has broken through perceived limits and broken down barriers to empower women, minorities, and indigenous original peoples. Recognizing the cascading benefits of nature, she has been a champion of biomimicry and biodynamically aligned, sustainable and regenerative business. She graduated Brown University cum laude in 1963. I wasn't going to say this, but I'm going to say this in complete love. That was a year after I was born, which is why it's taking me so long to read all of this, because what you have been doing since comes next. So in the late 60s, she wrote The Executive, a publication for Harvard University's Center for Studies in Education and Development. In the 70s, she launched 3 publications: Boston's first Black newspaper, now the Boston Banner, and professionally women's letter called The Spokeswoman, and an entrepreneurial magazine called Minority Express. As vice president at Chicago's South Shore Bank, she created national legislation to manifest the Neighborhood Development Bank industry, which funded the restoration of Chicago's South Shore community. In '79, she sent out a letter inviting 113 exceptional Chicago women to the first meeting of what became the Chicago Network. We are calling together women distinguished by their achievements in business, arts, and professions, government, and academia, Susan said. And 97 of those women accepted the invitation for the first time. Nearly all of these years later, I think the number is something like up to 500 today of those women who still gather. Through the 80s, she served as vice president of the Personal Trust Group at Chicago's Harris Bank, where she focused on empowering women and influence. She was the first woman on the founding board of the Social Venture Network, which gave birth to the social investment industry. And you'll see later why we call her the Godmother of Social Investing. In the 90s, she founded Capital Missions Company and the goal of transforming the world of finance from fear and greed to love and joy through her key innovator network strategy, is KINS method that we all love so dearly and has created such an impact in the world. 15 years ago, she and her husband, Walter, moved to Vilcabamba, a tiny village, as she just spoke about. And Marion Rockefeller Weber, a major contributor to KINS Networks, gave her a grant to become a flow funder in Ecuador. And from a $60,000 initial grant, they were able to donate more than 1 million in measurable value to the village. Susan has been off the grid, as you've all heard, and is a deeply connected to the Kogi wisdom, and just beginning her next chapter with KINS. Now, the reason I gave you those formal introductions is because I'm going to present an award to Susan today. And let me tell you how I first met Susan. Some of you may know quite a few years ago, the United Nations came to me and asked me if I would lead a movement in the nexus of consciousness and capital. And of course they had me, because how could I say no to that? And pretty soon we started scanning the world, or more importantly, the world started scanning us as a massive attractor. And Susan showed up on the screen. Now, I had met Susan at IONS, as I mentioned earlier, a bunch of years earlier, but I hadn't connected with Susan since. Let me tell you, Susan came up on the screen. She's quiet, and I'm telling her what I'm doing, and she's like, as all of you know, Susan, when her spirit lights up and her eyes light up, it completely consumed the room and the screen. And she said, "You have got to be kidding me. Consciousness and capital in the same sentence at the level of the UN? You go, boy."
That's
So
right.
that's how we met, and it's got better since. So today, Susan, I think we have a better picture of this, but I am presenting to you
Oh, my goodness.
an award that we will ship over to Ecuador for you. And I will read what it says. It says Future Capital Lifetime Achievement Award presented to Susan Davis Moora, the Godmother of Social Investing, on November 9th, 2021. We presented it kind of quietly, spiritually, a day early because we knew it was your birthday, but giving it to you today. And then tomorrow, this is a sneak preview because during our future capital call, which of course we'd love you to be on, we are going to be presenting this formally. So thank you
Oh,
for the world, Susan.
God bless you. Wow. What a beautiful gift. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So next up, we would love to spend, an hour just talking about what just happened. Thank you so much, Lawrence and Heather, for being willing to bring that in a day early. We knew that was happening tomorrow, and they were gracious enough to present today. So we've got a very special Mother Earth blessing coming up that is going to be unveiled for the first time today. And so I'd like to introduce our next special guest, Dr. Anneloes Smitsman. Anneloes is the founder and CEO of EARTHwise Centre. She is the co-author of the Future Humans trilogy with Dr. Jean Houston. She's the lead architect of the EARTHwise tipping point system and the author of Love Letters from Mother Earth.
Bravo.
Anneloes,
So awesome.
please take it away and give us a little background on what we're about to share.
Thank you so much. And first of all, happy birthday, Susan. I know we're going to sing for you later, but I actually feel like, can we all just sing quickly right now?
We
Is
could.
that something we can do?
Yes, it
because
is something we can do. Hang on.
and then I'll give more context. So
Okay,
just
I actually
love
have a
to
little bit
join our
of-
voices and just sing a happy birthday for Susan first.
Here we go. Let's
Have
get
to
ready.
unmute everybody.
Let's
Oh,
unmute.
yes, I have to. Everybody unmute, please. Thank you. I'm going to stop my share if I can. Oh.
Our interns and friends.
Okay. We don't even need the music track. We can just do it. Let's pick a note.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Susan. Happy birthday to you.
Many more.
Many more. Many more years for you, Susan. Love you. Love you, Susan.
Birthday, Susan.
There's the candle.
Life starts at 80.
Hey, do you wish?
Awesome.
Bravo.
Okay, so I'm going to mute everybody again. Sorry, just so that we can have speaker view. Susan and Walter, if you would please unmute yourselves, and then Anneloes, you can unmute yourself too. And then Susan, are you going to make a wish?
I wish love to every one of
wait.
you.
Okay, yeah, you were unmuted. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wish love to every one of you.
Awesome. All right. So Anneloes, you want to take it away?
Wonderful. So, Susan, I was so delighted when I still remember when I met you via Stephen Gomes, and over a year ago, and we felt immediately the kindred spirits and the same kind of soul spark. So I loved you
you
from
did.
the
I couldn't believe
first
it.
moment. And I came to the reason why Stephen initially said we really need to meet is because we were working on this project, the Earth Song, and you may remember that. And when we shared it with you, you immediately felt this very, very deep resonance. Now, for those of you who haven't heard of this project, just like Susan experienced and expressed how sometimes there's a deeper guidance that comes forth and it's undeniable and we have to follow that. I had that moment in 2019 And I was on a call with Lawrence Bloom, who unfortunately recently passed away from COVID. But he was, I'm bringing him in because he was in love with this vision of the Earth song. Yeah. And I know that from wherever he is right now, he will do everything that he can to help to see it come through. And as we were on a call, and he was working together also with major talent in the music industry, and having come from conscious investment and everything else, he said, Anneloes, I just don't see how we're going to really turn the ship around. And I've been in so many political processes and in economic processes, but we need to find another way to help raise consciousness, because he said we are really in a major identity crisis. What do you think we can do? And we've had a lot of these conversations of that kind. And suddenly I felt Mother Earth with an incredible force coming through. And she said, bring the world together in song. And now that itself is not new. Indigenous people have done this, since our very, very beginnings. But what she also showed is something else. And she said, in a time right now when there is so much division and there's so many changes for her as a planet, she said, it's not easy being a planet when your children are arguing, you can't seem to agree on anything, and you're running a fever and you need to heal yourself and you're going through your own evolutionary shift. So she said, if you can bring humanity together in song so that everyone can actually feel again what really matters in their hearts, so then I'll also have the energy and the coherence available to go through my next shift. So she shared with me then, remind humanity that Mother Earth, the mother that I am as the planet, is the one mother you all have in common. You can argue about anything else, but Mother Earth is the one mother who we all have in common. And she also shared that she used to communicate, and still does, with all of her children, all of the species, via the songlines. The songlines, they are still known by the whales and by the dolphins and indigenous people. She said that is the communication system. So she said, find a way to bring humanity together in one song and bring all of that diversity and diverse voices together, and then sing it back coherent to her frequency, coherent to her pulse, and then sing it back. And it's been quite a challenge to get this off the ground, but we made the first little seed now. So what we've done is we've created the lyrics, we've created the music, and Lauren has been incredibly gracious to bring some visuals to it so that you can enjoy that. The next step is still to create the funding for creating the technology that makes it possible to add everyone's voices and then to play it back. And it's also to be integrated with seeds so that as we sing our world together, we're planting the seeds, we're creating the new systems, we are remembering what is important, and we've reached out to Indigenous elders from around the world who will be also singing this song in their own language and adding their own invocations to the process. So you're really just at the very, very beginning to now hear something that nobody else has heard before yet. As they're taking the next steps, and that's especially to honor you, Susan, because I know you believe in this so much and you've been such a support and inspiration for me, and I love you so much. So let us hear Lauren now, the Earth Song.
Hear a cry, oh mother, you who have birthed us all, we now hear your call. We are rising, we're uniting, we're igniting, stoking the fire, transforming our pain with the flame of love. We are rising, we're uniting, we're igniting, stoking the
Oh my God. What a birthday. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I just want to add that Lauren over the weekend spent 15 hours putting all the visual together to make this happen. There wasn't visuals before this, and it was just purely from her genius and her gift of spirit, gift of heart to all of us to help further this passion project that that Anneloes is bringing to all of us. We've all been working with Anneloes for a long time to help make this happen, and so pleased that you could present it today, Anneloes.
Oh,
Love you.
bless. Lauren, thank you so much. My God. Anneloes, Lauren, Anneloes. Whoa.
There's her website. We're all going to be getting to know each other better, which is very exciting. Thanks to Susan. So, any quick comments before we move on? I'd like to introduce Kinship Earth to everyone and let us know what's going on. And then we want to open up the floor for sharing. So I've got just a very brief presentation. Okay, so let's ask the question, what do we all have in common besides Susan? I mean, Susan was what's brought us all together, right? But what we all have in common is that we are all kindred spirits. Those of us who are drawn here, that are drawn to be part of this movement and connecting with Susan and all that KINS represents, we recognize that we are all one and that we care deeply for Mother Earth and all life. And we embrace the KINS principles of generosity, equality, transparency, and win-win-win. If it's not a good deal for everyone, including the Earth, it is not a good deal. And so in effect, we're playing the world game, right? We're all playing what Buckminster Fuller calls the world game, and that is to make the world work for 100% of humanity in the shortest possible time through spontaneous cooperation without ecological offense or the disadvantage of anyone.
Woo!
So to that end, we have come together. So Susan and Walter and Stephen are the board members, and George Orbellion is our advisory board chair. And we've formed this organization. They've brought me on to be executive director, and our mission and purpose is to manifest a thriving planet collaboratively. So through the power of KINS networks and networks of heart-centered people. And we also, our mission and purpose is to connect and to support you, our KINS alumni, and the expanded network. So if those of you who are here, if you haven't been in an official KINS group, that does not exclude you, okay? Because we are opening up to possibilities of forming new groups and of getting involved in lots of exciting ways. So we plan to preserve and deploy the KINS legacy. And as you heard in Lawrence's presentation, that is a powerful legacy that Susan has manifested. And at the same time, to bring KINS into the 21st century and to empower the next generation of KINS leaders. So let's look at the KINS legacy for a moment. The strategy is generosity, has been at the forefront of everything Susan does. And to date, she has created more than 40 networks. There are more than 500 KINS alumni out there. There are 1,500 plus in the extended community. And I would say that's a very conservative estimate, because when you look at the ripple effect of all of the lives that have been touched by these KINS groups, it's a much wider net. And she has established trusted relationships, has demonstrated proven results, and through the magic of how KINS works, by tapping into people's life destiny path, there is an infinite potential for good. So we see that we have many opportunities with a global outreach program to deploy digital collaboration methods. You know, COVID has taught us that we can do KINS groups on Zoom now. They're maybe not as ideal as meeting in person, but a lot of amazing things can be done through digital collaboration. We now have resources digitally where we can share our resources and best practices. And what we plan to do is feature the KINS alumni as wisdom keepers. So the people who have been doing this work for many years are now holding wisdom that can be shared. And we can create cross-organizational collaboration. So not just collaboration between individuals, but between organizations. And we're going to share some of how we've been doing that in Vilcabamba a little bit later on in this presentation, and to support emerging KINS leaders. So here's what we've been doing so far. So for the past year, we have been in phase 1, and you are here at Susan's 80th birthday and KINS reunion celebration. And we are getting ready to launch phase 2 and phase 3. So let's go into this briefly, what that is. Phase 1, we have been rebirthing KINS by redesigning the website and the brand, creating this beautiful logo. That is Jennifer Pardee has created that for us. We're establishing a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We've updated the KINS materials. We have a major grant pledged for our first year of operations. We've received a seeds grant for alumni outreach. We are reestablishing connection with KINS alumni. We're updating our database with everyone's current information and introducing you to our new team. And that's part of what today is all about. So if you haven't already, you can go ahead and peruse the new website at kinshipearth.org. And we've updated Susan's ebook with a new cover design, gotten it all fresh for the 21st century, and a new interface for download. So that's still her generous gift to everyone. And then we've created something called the KINS Step-by-Step Guidebook so that KINS can spread more easily to people who want to get started. They've got a guidebook with worksheets, with core foundational principles. It's brief, it's colorful, and it's something that can be used easily. And we've sent out a survey to our KINS alumni, a brief survey. If you haven't already completed it, we would encourage you to do so. And we're going to be following up over the next month, reaching out to everyone and getting more in depth on where you are and what's going on and how we can support you. And right now we have about 333 active KINS alumni in our database, and we are seeking to reconnect with all. So if there are people that you know through your network that aren't here or that haven't been in touch, please invite them to reconnect with us, and we'll get them back in the fold. And then we're planning a global outreach. So this next phase, phase 2, we plan to do an alumni engagement campaign so that it won't be another 15 years before you hear from Susan. We'll be able to stay in touch through our discovery process. So we're going to be doing interviews. And then we're going to launch a monthly series of featured interviews with the KINS alumni, featuring them as wisdom keepers. And that will cross-pollinate those networks. It will showcase the people who have been doing such amazing work and their initiatives. We'll be building a digital resource library. We'll be able to offer value to emerging KINS leaders. And this will serve as an ongoing engagement campaign and open the door for future strategic alliances. At the same time as that, we're going to start phase 3, but that's going to roll out over time. And that is, we're going to launch our KINSHIP Earth communications channel, a social media outreach campaign. And that's to reach people who are in a younger generation globally, who want to take advantage of what Susan has created, those people whose hearts want to get involved and need a way to get involved. And KINS provides that in such a beautiful, elegant way for self-organizing groups. And so we'll be monitoring, supporting that series, and promoting our shared initiatives across multiple platforms. So seeing what Anneloes, for example, is doing, imagine being able to share that to more and more people. And that's just one person in our KINS network. So currently we are establishing some engagement opportunities for KINS alumni to join a private LinkedIn group. We'll be making strategic introductions. If you'd like to be featured in an interview, we want to hold the space for that. participating in monthly engagement events, and being promoted on our KINSHIP Earth social channels. So what I'd like to do now is open the floor for, as Buckminster Fuller calls it, opportunities for spontaneous cooperation. And let's hear from you on where you are and what you've been doing and who's in the room and what you think about all of this. So ideally, what I think, so that we don't have too much chaos, I'm going to switch to gallery view. And if you could unmute yourselves one at a time, then we can get some feedback and share where you are and how you would like to participate, and or any messages from Susan or feedback on what we've heard so far today.
What I'd like to do, Lauren, is have everybody just use the reaction button and put their hand up, and then you could call on them so that we avoid the chaos of too many people speaking at once.
Thank you. Coming from someone who has been leading Zoom meetings for a long time. Thank you, Stephen. Okay, so yes, please raise your hand if you've got something to share.
How do you, I don't know how to do that right off the top of my head, so I'm jumping right in.
Okay, Stuart, great.
And I'm speaking first because I have something to go on to here very soon. So I'd like to just get in my word edgewise and really share my appreciation for my relationship with Susan and the growing KINS concept. Simply that, in my view, that we lay down a path through walking, and we walk together through KINS methodology. And that's how we manifest the world that Charles Eisenstein says, that more beautiful world in our hearts we know is possible. And Susan, your role model and ability to just stay focused on the possibilities in front of us, and encouragement and enthusiasm and vision. That has just been a real gift. I appreciate this so much, how it's influenced my life. And I look forward to laying down the path through walking with you all in future KINS engagements. I will be able to circle back here in a minute, but I just have to step off. So full appreciation and love, Susan and Walter, for all that you do and all that you represent.
Thank you.
Big
I
hug.
just want to say
Virtual
one
hug.
thing. I want to say one thing here to follow up with Stuart. So Stuart is one of our KINS alumni and one of the intimate circle participants, and his associate Stephen Loving from France is on the call. They are very involved with conscious capital, and Stuart is and Stephen have written a book together on
With Susan,
that's true. And that book, you want to remind me of the title again?
Imagining Philanthropy for Life. And the subtitle is A Whole System Strategy to Transform Finance and Grow True Wealth.
And the reason I say that is because, as Lauren just said, one of our primary goals is to reactivate the KINS network. The alumni are our primary asset worldwide. And we are now very actively engaged in bringing those people together. Stuart, for example, is with the Vanderbilt Capital Group, and he is leading 15 of those wealth managers in the area focused on conscious capital and social impact investment. And he's just one of the people that we will be connecting as we go forward with our expansion of KINSHIP Earth. And that's one of our primary goals. So I just wanted to.
Yep. The Indra's Net. Look up Indra's Net. That's the idea.
Yes.
Right. I'll circle back, but I have to jump right now. Much love to all of you.
Thank you. And I see Mark with his hand up, and he was just showing. So I don't know if you want to do that again, because I don't know if Mark has a copy of the book. There we go. Imagining Philanthropy for Life. So Mark, would you like to chime in?
Yes. So thank you, everybody, and happy birthday, and thank you, Susan. I would have to say, and I've shared it, many times. Susan came into my life in just kind of a completely unexpected and just a random way. We met at a party in Chicago, you know, and but it turned out that the web of connections didn't end there, and it started there, and it led me into learning about biodynamics and permaculture, and getting connected to the wonderful farm outside of Chicago called Angelic Organics, and in ways that are unexplainable with words, you know, so many of the profound life experiences that I've had have woven in a circle somewhere connected with Susan. They always seem to be that way. And I see lots of beautiful faces on the call that I've met through Susan, both in Wisconsin and out in California, and in New York. And now my life, I'm in North Carolina with my wife and our 2 children. We have a small farm here. My life of connection in the Zoom world has absolutely blossomed. And I am deeply grateful to Susan and to all of the people here, and to Walter, of course. And I have to say, when you look at the KINS principles, you know, I've been in a variety of KINS circles with Susan, and I met Blake when, you know, Blake, you were probably 15 or something, you know, when you read those principles, you know, each one of them is like, it speaks a deep piece of the puzzle that is so completely important and true. And just the one that always comes up to me, and nobody ever said this before, is that a deal is a good deal if it's good for all involved, from every angle, from every stakeholder, and from Mother Earth itself, you know. And I mean, like, nobody ever mentioned that to me before. So that's just one of the many KINS principles. So I'm very excited. The work that Lauren and Stephen and everybody are doing, and George Rebellion, amazing. You know, this is really a wonderful time. And so I am deeply excited that the KINSHIP Earth is launching in this way, and excited to meet those of you that I haven't met yet, and to see where it's going to lead. Thank you so much. I see Rain's hand is up.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Lauren. I gotta go, so I wanted to wish you happy birthday again, Susan. I'm so glad to be here today with you. And all I want to share is me meeting you was a miracle. I know it was like I have a story to tell, but I don't know if we don't have time about that. And ever since I've met you, my life is about magic and miracles. That's all I can say. So I just want to say thank you for your mentorship, for your guidance. You know, my community, the first community that I birthed was called We Will Network, and it adopts all the KINS principles. And I remember reading your book, Trojan of Horse, and I was like very inspired by you. And I know, Mark, for you was the other principle, but for me, this was what caught my attention. It was the one that we sit at the table of unknown and invite the universe to co-create with us for the highest good for all concerned. And that was really what caught me. I was like, wow, I've never seen that. And I took that into the business community that I was building, because I wanted to create something different. So since then, my life has been very different. So thank you again, Susan, for everything you do, for an inspiration, for who you are, a gift. And may you have many more years and many more blessings. And I'm grateful too. I see some faces here that I got to know through the KINS community. I'm so grateful. Thank you again, Lauren, for amazing work today. And Walter, I met you just not too long ago, and it's been really amazing. So thank you again, Susan. I got to go, but I love you. Thank you for everything you've done for the world and for me. I love you.
God bless. God bless.
And I do want to let everyone know that we still have to hear from Walter, and he's up on the agenda in about 7 minutes. So, but yes, we want to take a break and hear some feedback in between. So let's see. I see Nancy Brown, your hand is up. Would you like to unmute?
Good, thank you. Hey, gang. Hey, gosh, it's been a long time. I miss you guys, and I miss our meetings, and I miss our phone calls. And we had such a great time at the ranch and the reunion years ago.
What group were you part of, Nancy?
Well, several. Let's see if I can even remember.
Many, many.
Many. It's just kind of oozes out of me all over the time. You know, Susan planted me and Walter in the ground there, so I got to come back. I got to come back, and I miss you guys. I love you guys, and blessings, blessings, blessings.
Well, I'd just like to give a chance to speak about KINS to the person who's been in it the longest. My daughter, Blake Davis. Please speak, honey. Blake, can you hear me?
I had to unmute myself.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that. Well, happy birthday, Mom. It's the greatest day of the whole year. And I'm amazed you're 80 and thriving. Of course, we all knew it. No surprise there. Yes, you are correct. I've been raised on these KINS principles. It's so true. I couldn't name a favorite one. I mean, strategy of generosity, deal is good for all concerned. I might have a favorite one, which is the seat at the table of unknowing, just because that's basically life. Like, no one knows what's going to happen. And, you know, we all get thrown curveballs time and time again. And just that table of unknowing, I always have a chair at it. And it's just helped me have comfort and agility throughout my life. But yeah, you're a wonder, Mom. You're just a true wonder. And like all the love in this Zoom, you can see just everyone here, you know, thinks you're fabulous. I probably think you're the most fabulous, but yeah, it's just such a joy to be here on your birthday and see you so happy and, you know, alive and in love, and all the people that love you, and familiar faces, new faces, names of everyone. It's just, oh God, Mom, you're amazing. I'm so lucky you're my mom.
Okay, I'm going to have to play time police because we are going to open it up again for conversation, but I see 4 hands still up. And so let's see, there's Hank, Richard, Heather, and Lewis. So let's go in that order if that's okay. So Hank, would you please go next?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Susan, what an adventure. I'm sorry, Stuart's not with us presently, but it was with Amory and Hazel Henderson and an extraordinary group, Amory Lovins at Esalen. We spent 5 days with this extraordinary question mark about how the invisible player at the table, which is our children's children, the complex world that we're creating for them, how we could create a financial framework, a transactional framework. And Alice, I've been so inspired by your work. I've never actually seen you face to face in real time, but I have followed your work with great passion and excitement. But this idea of how, when we cast a vote at the cash register, we're delivering services, not injury, to those who come after us. We at that wonderful Esalen meeting, Susan, I'm sure you remember with the same excitement and clarity that the rest of us do, that the concept of an intergenerational service, that the idea that when you do something right, yes, you get the benefit, but all sorts of other good things happen as a result. And that our economy, unfortunately, of course, they call them externalities, but we hide the bad things off the books and take the short-term cash to the bank. What I think is happening now, and some of the players at COP26 are thinking clearly about this, that if you add back intergenerational services to the green resource, the green premium goes away. It's not more expensive. It's a richer wealth creation agenda. And I'd love to tap on this beautiful network and our friends and friends in creating an inventory of those services that can be securitized in deal sizes north of 300 million. That's the that actually will work. And someone like Carney, with his 100+ trillions of allies, they need to have a way to relocate equity that's trapped in poisonous, toxic, destructive, resource terminating systems and relocate that profitably to green, whole, rich, productive systems. Sorry to be so serious right now, but I think there's an opportunity in the KINS network to create a way, to begin to validate the metrics, the standards that allow services like avoided sickness and avoided flooding and other extremely rich value creation propositions to be brought into the investment structure that's being discussed in Glasgow. And huge love and affection to all of you for your extraordinary work. And thanks for giving me a moment on the floor.
Thank you, Hank. And you are singing our tune. I just want to say, the people in this room are the celebrities to me. The work that you are doing is so profound. And so George Orbelian has been working with us on many of those principles that you just mentioned, Hank. So we will be circling back around and cross-pollinating all this amazing wisdom. So let's see, Richard has his hand up next.
Hello. It's great to see you, Susan. Richard here. Right now I'm in the Boston area, but I live in two places in the Boston area and also in San Pedro Sula, Honduras, in Honduras, Central America. And happy birthday, Susan. You were born 80 years ago, but in 2003, you gave birth to the Solar Circle. And so I belong to the Solar Circle group, and I noticed that Titus Brennickmeyer is also on this Zoom meeting today. It was amazing to see how the vision of solar for the world has really expanded. Since 2003, it was much more limited, the ability to convert sunlight to electricity and really make it benefit people around the world. So we have a great group. It seems to me that we can make connections with the way you've developed KINS networks, that we can now, with this new effort, find connections to collaborate and with other people who are generous and leaders in their field. So it's been such a pleasure. It's been a number of years. It's gone by pretty quickly, but in my participation in the group that you organized and found people to come together, been representing in solar for the developing world, and I continue with that, and hopefully with new friends we find in your broader network and with your new effort that Lauren's leading, we'll find new ways to have linkages between what our group has been able to do with solar. There's been a lot of amazing people in the group that have really helped the whole ability of solar to expand. It's been phenomenal, and you really catalyzed this and gave birth to it in 2003. Thank you so much, Susan, because it's been a great experience for me. I know you've been gone for a while, but the Solar Circle continues. We do have our gatherings. So I'll stop there. I know we don't have much time, and just happy birthday.
I just have to give you a special thanks for the Solar Circle, because in a lot of ways, it's the most successful of all the KINS networks, because they were smart enough when they met not to start an organization, nothing formal. There was no publicity about it. And they were remarkably, incredibly successful, because the energy industry had published these multi-million-dollar cost things, analyzing to prove that you couldn't make solar happen for the world. And the Solar Circle just said, oh yeah, well, watch us. And so they didn't take any publicity, but because I'd found the key KINS type leader in each of 40 different sectors that were part of making solar happen for the world. So they already had the person that was most respected in each of those sectors. So when they got together and they said, okay, let's do it this way, then every one of them would go back to their department, their sector, whatever, and get the approval of that place. So that's how they did it in front of everyone. No, they never got any credit. No one knew it. It was a miracle. And this was after the energy industry had spent millions and millions of dollars with, reports that big proving that solar couldn't happen for the world. So that's why the Solar Circle has always kind of had my heart to the highest extent, because you did a miracle. On behalf of all your other members, just tell them that I said that, because I'll never thank them enough.
You should know something that Dan Sugar sent across to us just the other day because of COP26. And he said, he started a company 8 years ago. He's been in a number of companies, but he's very successful and really helping to get scale. Next tracker is the solar trackers for these utility scales. And he's delivered 50 gigawatts of trackers for 50 gigawatts of projects, which is the equivalent of the power consumption in California. So it's been around the world, but that's the scale that it's reached. And it's one of the examples. It's kind of a positive inspiration that the scale can be reached. There's so much more to do to help control our impact on the climate. So thank you so much, Susan, and happy birthday.
Thank you.
Oh, amazing.
So much fun. Let's never stop. Okay?
I know.
Let's stay on here.
It just goes to show we have to meet more often. So I'd like to invite Heather to go ahead and take the floor.
Before Susan came on, I mentioned that we met, I don't know if it was 69 or 70, but I fell in love with her, I think, the minute I met her, because she had such a positive spirit, generosity, and visionary values-led life. And she conveyed the sense that once you believe it, you can make the vision the reality. Then you can see it. You don't always see something first and then build on it. And she reversed so many truisms that I felt I knew in my life. Many wonderful things have been said about Susan, and I'm not going to repeat all of them, partly just for time, though I'd love to. I want to add one other thing, though, that wasn't said yet. I've known Susan through periods of extraordinary hardship, difficulty.
Oh, yeah.
Others would view as tragedy, desperation, in health, near-death experiences, in relationships, in many ways, emotional death experiences, in business relationships. And from each of those near tragedies, Susan rose up and transformed what were otherwise the downside, the dark side of life, into light. Wow. And into a more visionary, hopeful future. She not only enlarged opportunities for herself, but enlarged opportunities for everyone around her in each of those situations. Right. And she continues to rise. And in her rising, part of her great strength, part of how she knows how to rise, is by raising up all of us.
Oh my God.
And so I loved you when I first met you. I love you now, Susan. And just even looking at the remarkable community you've brought together around this Zoom table, it's not surprising. You make us more remarkable, make us more visionary, more generous, enlarge our hearts with your own. I love you, Susan.
I love you, Heather. God bless you. Oh my goodness.
I just want to say, Heather, I really want to thank you for the work that you've been doing just lately, which came to fruition with the infrastructure being signed by President Biden. And I know you're very instrumental in doing that work. And so I personally want to thank you for all of that you're doing. It's recognized.
I appreciate it. And anyone who wants to join in this final push to make the greatest investments in American communities for children, for parents, for seniors, for our water, our future. Anyone who wants to play a role, even in these next few weeks, we need your help. And you particularly are probably positioned to have some important impact. I'd encourage you to be in touch. I will actually put my email in the chat for those who actually want to play a role on that specifically. Thanks so much, Stephen.
I was just going to ask you to do that. So thank you again, Heather, for your fine job that you're doing. You got it this far and supporting all the people. We need this in America. So thanks again.
Yes, and we would love to invite you to do a presentation as part of our ongoing engagement campaign to share your message and to mobilize a group. I know you do a lot with organizing, and that's a way that we can organize in KINS groups to be able to help carry on some of the amazing work that you're doing, and as well as everyone in this room. So wonderful to have you here.
There's
Okay, I see. Oh, go ahead.
Someone here I have to give credit to. This is my sister, Julie Dennis. I was born 11 months after Julia, and she taught me everything I knew from birth. And she's done it my whole life. She's led the way in any school I went to. She made sure the teacher that I was coming into knew that I was the hottest thing on the planet. She had an IQ off the chart from the beginning. So she got us scholarships right on through. I just walked in her shoes and I had a wonderful time, and I can never thank my sister, Julie Dennis, enough. I love you, dear.
Want to say a few words, Julie? I think you'll need to unmute if you can. There we go.
It's hard to know what to say being the big sister of Susan, because she outshines me in so many ways. I always laugh when I hear her describing our relationship. And it's been hard not to cry during this whole thing, because my sister has been through so much pain and travel in her life. And coming into calmer waters is just so wonderful for me to see. And this whole group, I know so many of you by name and by following your careers through Susan, even though none of you have ever heard of me. But it's really great to see all these familiar names and faces. And, you know, can you imagine being Susan's sister? I mean, the luckiest person in the world. So I feel very blessed that she's in my life, and that I'm her elder sister by 11 months. We're Irish twins. So it's a kind of our little family joke to say I'm her big sister.
So glad you could be here.
We both have wonderful, what's the word I want? Each of us is the idol for the other one, because I stayed home and raised a family, and Susan went out in the world and did all these big things, and we each think each other is wonderful. I can't say anymore because I'm too emotional.
I love you, Julie.
Thank you, honey.
Okay, we're going to do one more share, and then we're going to invite Walter to share about what he's doing on the farm and the KINS collaborations that are happening down in Vilcabamba. So Louis, let's hear from you, please.
Dearest Susan, you know what divine timing is like. I thought to myself, I only have time till 1:30 here. That's in 3 minutes. And I've got my little moment. So Susan, thank you for everything that you are, for everything that you brought through. And really what I wanted to share with you is that you know that you helped me start the Care First Innovation Network in 2013. And that even without consciously applying your principles, I seem to intuitively pull people together so quickly. And that whole network that was about 99 to 100 people, all wanted to build the Care First world then. But what I wanted to let you know, that group, of course, was connected, but it didn't continue on as a group. 7 years later, October 2020, that whole Care First impulse is grounding on the planet. and I will send you an update of what is happening. So I want to let you know
Good.
a seed gets planted through a whole bunch of people, but it's in the ethers. And I really realized today, because I'm of course so happy with everything that's happening, that everything started because I heard about you and the wonderful thing that came through you. So thank you, my dear. And thank you, Walter, for taking care of Susan.
Yeah, yes, hello.
Beautiful. So we're going to open up the floor for more sharing after we hear from Walter and Stephen and possibly Nancy, if she can chime in. We'll start. So I've got an order of things. I'm going to share my screen with a couple of slides again and share what is happening in Vilcabamba. This past September, a coalition of people came down to Vilcabamba, Ecuador for an eco-village regeneration pilot project. And it was a collaboration in true KINS form between Finca Sagrada, so that's Susan and Walter's farm, KINSHIP Earth, the Seeds Community Deployment Team, the Upper Catamayo Watershed Wisdom Council, which Nancy represents, the Global Transformation Corps, and of course, including Indigenous peoples and the Kogi Mamos. We met at Madre Tierra Resort and Spa, which means Mother Earth, and they had a beautiful venue where we were able to hold lots of our meetings. And I'm going to just do a quick introduction of the purpose, the who, the what, the how, and the why, and then I'm going to pass it to Walter. So the who, we started with the teams from Finca Sagrada, KINSHIP Earth, Seeds, Global Transformation Corps, again, the Watershed Wisdom Council, local constituents. We got a lot of the local community involved and Indigenous leaders, both the Kogi and the Palta tribe. The what was to pilot a global systems change regenerative eco-village pilot program in Vilcabamba, Ecuador, anchored at Finca Sagrada. So this image here is people meeting at lunch at Susan and Walter's home on the farm, the community house. And then this is part of the retreat with the Kogi Mamos that Walter will tell you more about. The how was collaboration using the KINS method between key individuals and groups to establish trust, assess program viability, determine needs, and develop infrastructure. And the why was to establish a scalable model for global systems change, blending KINS, Indigenous wisdom, Seeds regenerative currency, and the Global Transformation Corps values-based, impact-driven entrepreneurship program. And so a little bit about the people, so you can get a sense of how, the structure of how all this worked. So Walter and Susan both own Finca Sagrada, Walter being the biodynamic farmer. He was very active in with Stephen and Mark to acquire some seeds grants to roll out this program. And what they have down there already is an educational center. They have the sacred land and the organic farm. Susan brought in her KINS principles and the next evolution of KINS, KINSHIP Earth, and has been creating KINS groups down in Vilcabamba to lay the groundwork for the relationships, the method, and she's built this reputation over time. So the trust was there. Stephen is a master net weaver. He is, yes, he's a co-founder or on the alliance of professional, Steve, you'll have to tell me the words again, the Strategic Networking Association, the Association for Strategic Alliance Professionals. There it is, ASAP. And he brought in his partners with the Global Transformation Corps, Dr. Ira Kaufman and Ilona van der Hagen. And he'll tell you more about that. So all of these were weaving together, and he was also instrumental in bringing in a watershed grant from Seeds, and then working with Nancy Hilgert, who has been working with Susan and Walter down in Vilcabamba for many years. Nancy is a conservation biologist She has been very instrumental in the being a liaison between government and institutions, educational institutions, including the University of Loja, and is working closely with the community to restore the local watershed. So Walter, I'm going to invite you to take it away from here and tell us about Finca Sagrada.
Before doing that, I'm going to say one little thing, that I'm really a very lucky man being married to Susan, because, you know, she's more of a city girl. I'm a farmer and she's a banker. Who could ever imagine the two getting together, right? But we do pretty well. And there are not many people I know, I should say, women I know, especially getting on in age, who would put up with me, because you know, our farm can be a little rustic sometimes. And in the rainy, for example, in the rainy season, the two streams that we have to drive through become raging torrents, so we can't drive through there, and then we have to walk 40 minutes the other way to Tumunuma. And so what we do, and it might be raining, so we put Susan on a burro, and we don't actually have a saddle for it. So her feet are about 6 inches off the ground, and then she rides along with an umbrella. You know, tell me who would put up with that kind of behavior?
Anyone who knew a real man when she met him, any one of us
Anyway,
would.
that's just
Yeah,
one
I'm telling you.
example how versatile Susan is.
That's one of my favorite pictures, Walter. I saved it.
Oh,
The
good.
umbrella and everything.
Yeah. Anyway,
So would you like me to share the screen, Walter?
yeah, that'd be good.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, so we did get this farm about 14 years ago, and I've been a biodynamic farmer my whole life. So, you know, that's what we practice. But we partners who, I don't do too much farm work anymore. Our partners are from the Palta, and they also bring in their indigenous practices. So we try to have the condor and the eagle flying as one. And we've done a lot of workshops in the past, you know, not so much the last couple of years because of COVID. But that's one of the things that we really want to continue with in the future when things, you know, when life allows us to do that. As soon as we found out about the Seeds Tokens program, we saw the potential of it. And so we did get different grants. We have one grant for the watershed for 600 seed tokens, and that we're giving out slowly, and also an alliance grant for 700,000 seeds for our farm, which will actually help us if, when the seeds get to value, we'll be able to put the farm into a land trust that we're designing now, and that will get 300,000 seeds, and you know, that'll instead of having to you know, look for money to buy us out, the potential is already there, which is very exciting. And I think people, it's already been mentioned that when the Kogi were invited to come down, they said they would come 4 times to reactivate the sacred site. They've actually came the 5th time just a couple of months ago to work with the water element. And we do have the House of Original Thought, which is really beautiful. You can see it in the photo there. Yeah.
And Susan wanted to make sure people know that the Kogi are special because they are one of the only tribes in South America that have not been conquered by the Spaniards. So they still have all of their original indigenous traditions.
Well, I just have to say one more thing. When a child is born with the Kogi, the mamos go to the site and they can discern if that child is supposed to be a mamo or not. And if so, they put the mother and the child into a dark position and raise him for 20 years, 30 years. It's remarkable what they're able to do. And so when we were almost done raising the spirit house, somebody came and he had 2 sticks that were about that thick, right? And he held them up. He said, "These are the ways the mamas are going to communicate with you." And I acted appreciative, but inside I was going like, ha, ha, ha. So the next morning, the first time I did meditation, which I do every time I'm there, I sat down. I started getting direct orders from the Kogi, talk to this person and say this, and then do that. This happens all the time in the spirit house. I do everything I'm told. I've never disobeyed. And it's a miracle.
Yeah, I should mention it's unbelievable privilege that, you know, they agreed to come down here 4 times and we still have a very strong relationship. And Lucas, who is on this call, he's living on the farm right now, and he lived with the Kogi for 10 years. So we have this very nice connection, ongoing connection with the Kogi, and also one of the, you know, they sort of have to have a guide or go-between. So that's a very special relationship we have. Yeah. So our mission statement is we are creating a multicultural farm-based community learning center that helps people reconnect to self, community, and the earth through heartfelt thinking. And I think because of its sacredness that people feel really good when they come to the land, and it opens people up. Yeah. Yeah, that's a photo of the retreat we had in September. You can see how small they are compared to me on that first photo. They're of course, they speak, you know, their language, and then one of the Kogi knows Spanish, so he came along, and so we have to have a 3-way translation. And we did a 4-day retreat for people here in Vilcabamba area. Each day we had about 40 or 50 people. It was quite exciting. We had 2 local women make all the lunches, and we worked with the element of water because the Kogi traditionally they can reactivate springs. They use quartz crystals in ceremony. They plant the crystals around the springs, and it brings the water back. And I wanted to do that this year because we want to do a reforestation project on our mountain. It's the sacred mountain. And if that's successful, it has huge potential for all kinds of areas that are on the dry side, you know, to bring the water back and do reforestation. So we're excited about that. And one of our volunteers from a few years ago from Switzerland, he decided he wanted to help reforest our mountain, and he's just raised $38,000 to start reforesting, which we're going to start in a week's time. It'll be a real challenge because it's a very steep mountain, very dry mountain. Yeah, we're just in the process, you know, up to now it's been Susan and I supporting it financially, and we have a lot of volunteers come through. Like right now we have 6 or 8 volunteers. During COVID, we had 18 people on the farm for 6 months. But we have a chance to buy 8.9 hectares right next door. And our dream is that we'll find some more families. John and Satya are on this call. They're going to join us probably in January. And we'll create most of you probably know about CSAs, community supported agriculture. And my idea is to have a community supported sacred site. Because, you know, it does cost us quite a lot of money each month to run this place. And Susan and I, you know, we can't keep doing that, and we'd like to be a little more retired. So we're hoping to have some families who, like retired people who have some income, who could sort of support it. Living here is, you know, such a beautiful place. And also to have work out a way that we can have some younger people on the farm. And I'd love to have another biodynamic farmer who would take my place, so we could have a very strong support of the biodynamic work and the indigenous ideas. I think it'll be a very exciting place for people to come and learn about how to reconnect to the earth and self. I know we get fabulous reviews from our volunteers. They really, we have I think three of our volunteers on this call now. It's great for Susan and me. It keeps us young, and yeah.
Wonderful. And so there's so much going on down there. The group is continuing to meet. There's weekly meetings. We'll share more. But what happened in September is Susan and Walter hosted this kind of coalition of people coming together. And among those was the Global Transformation Course. So I'd like to invite Stephen to take it from here and tell us about that piece of the puzzle.
Okay, I'm going to do this very quickly. Thank you. This came about through my couple years with the Peace Corps in Brazil. And I was very influenced by that experience. It changed my life. And later on, without going through the whole story, I met a former colleague of mine, Dr. Ira Kaufman, who wrote a great new book called Empower Us. He's also a specialist in digital marketing. And we started talking, and we realized that really within the organization of Legacy International, which has been doing for the past 40 years, work with training young entrepreneurs, social impact leaders throughout the world, and have been funded to the tune of $47 million to date. We met with the founder of that Legacy International and pushed forward the idea of doing a Peace Corps for the world that we called the Global Transformation Corps. And that went forward. We are in the middle of doing our first launch project, which is in Vilcabamba. And we went down there and we brought several of our people with us, including Ella Feathers, who is a young college student in North Carolina. She was the #1 highest grade point scholar in Oregon. She's also half Native American and the top extemporaneous speaker in the state of Oregon. She came down there with us, representing the Global Transformation Corps. And we were expecting to maybe have 15 people to eventually put into a group to provide the kind of training necessary to help embed this new currency. It's called the SEEDS currency. And I can tell you a little bit more about that whenever you think it's appropriate. Oh, here we go. Anyway, I'm going to divert a little bit about this because, and you see me there, I'm holding a dollar bill, right? And this, it's all about this. And our lives are run by this. Unfortunately, this is not the answer. This is what has gotten us to where we are today. It's not sustainable. It's not beneficial to the earth, but most people don't even understand why, because most people don't understand money. They don't understand what money really means, how money was created in the first place. And I'm not going to go into a long spiel about it, but let me just say that a group of people 4 years ago got together and said they recognized that we cannot solve the problems of the earth with fiat currency. It's impossible. And no matter how well you want to use it and how well your intentions, at the end of the day, fiat currency is based upon extraction, competition, scarcity. Those are things that are, and on top of all that, if it despoils the air and the water, there's no way of valuing that in that currency system. So however you want to, this rules how you spend your energy. And we decided to create a new currency called seeds, which is the opposite of this. It's a cryptocurrency designed to enhance the earth, to provide equity to the world, and to work as a replacement for these fiat currencies. Now that's a very, very big vision, very difficult to do, but we bit it off. And right now our seeds group has over 10,000 members in the world and growing at 1,000 members a month. So yeah, it's big, but we brought this currency to Vilcabamba. And there's been over total grants there are now 5 grants totaling $3 million seeds. And the hope is that these seeds, and we expect this to happen sometime by mid-2022, these seeds will be worth approximately 50 cents to 80 cents per seed. And right now they're only worth 2 or 3 cents per seed, but that's going to be changing in the very near future as we roll this out more. So I'm not going to spend any more on that, except to say that we are deploying it. We've helped Finca Sagrada get seeds grants. Mark Epstein, who is on this call with me, who is a former KINS member, has been extremely instrumental in bringing the seeds currency forward in the world. And he continues to do a marvelous job in making that happen. So that's what I have to say about that, Lauren.
Okay. So yeah, it was really amazing to me to come in and witness how this collaboration came to be, because okay, you've got Susan and Walter in Finca Sagrada, and then you've got this opportunity to roll out these seeds grants in the community. And then Stephen recognized, well, wait a minute, the community people need to be trained in entrepreneurship and skills and KINS to try to help. And they're working on the watershed. So Nancy came in and she did a presentation. She's been very active in the watershed restoration project. And she had people join together in small groups and identify the problems in their region. And then using the global transformation core principles, the KINS principles, the seeds currency ideas, entrepreneurship, to all come together and say, how can we come up with solutions in our specific ecosystem? So it was so beautiful the way that all these different organizations came together. And Steve mentioned we thought maybe there'd be 15 people. They ended up conducting 36 in-person interviews and now have a waiting list of like more than 60 people that want to participate in this program. And Nancy is here on the call today. She did an amazing job. So just to sum it up for time, the project next steps are the groups involved are getting together, continuing to meet. We're establishing plans, infrastructure, and relationships to bring these opportunities to fruition. And here's just a quick picture of the project team. Not everybody's represented, but people all over the world were there. Many are on this call with us today. So with that, I'm going to open the floor once again for opportunities for spontaneous cooperation. And at this point, let's go ahead and share with those people who have not had a chance to share yet. So if you'd like to raise your hand, I can, okay, let's see. So Benjamin.
Hi, Susan and Walter. It's so nice to see you. I have you to thank that I've settled fully in North Carolina full-time, closed my office in Philadelphia, and that was Susan's strong advice so that I would be full-time with my wife and growing our own biodynamic food here in Hillsborough, North Carolina. And I just saw the, I guess it's obvious who the North Carolina person is on your team, but I wanted to just, reach out and connect since I'm here in North Carolina and I saw that that's part of your team. So thanks for all you've meant to me, Susan. Our our fathers knew each other. So that
Yeah.
kind of goes back before every.
You did?
My father used to buy tennis rackets.
That's right.
Davis tennis rackets from Susan's father, way back in the 50s and 60s. So we've been connected. We may have even met way back then.
Nice. Who else? Okay, let's see. Nancy, you've got your hand up.
Hello?
Now we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Yes?
Yes.
Oh, I'm in the middle of a class to hidden somewhere here. And well, what I want to say is that I wish you, Susan, the best. You have been a big change in my life, a lot of inspiration, and how to take the best on the worst moments, and how to grow with my generosity and employing the KINS principles. And that I love you so much. And I wish you, as I say, that life starts at 80, you know? You're such, you have such a young heart and so much to teach that, well, we all love you, and we're still and will be learning from you for a long time, and working with you and Walter, and now with the Upper Catamayo Watershed Council, and working with the community is giving me a new life. And thank you for the opportunity, and also thank you for helping me in many other ways, sharing me your friends, because you have shared with me your friends, not only your principles, values, but also all the love of the community. Big hug. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you,
And
back.
Walt.
Thank you. Thank you. We love you so much. So much.
We are coming up on the top of the hour. I'm going to invite, it's okay with me to extend the time a little bit if people want to stay and share, but I want to check with Susan and Walter. Do you have an extra 10 minutes if we can?
Oh, yeah, as long as you want. But I also wanted to, a close friend of mine from Vilcabamba is here, Alea Chickley. Alea, raise your hand, please. And she's a phenomenal healer. I've had healers come to me all my life. I always say yes. They always are incredible. So I'm like really being healed a lot. And I've been talking to her about, would it be okay with her if I made an offer to all of you, any of you who are interested in being in a small group with Alea leading it, you can just send me something, say, tell me more or something, and then I'll have Alea send something from both of us. So you all have my email. I just wanted to stick that in there.
Awesome.
Go ahead, Lauren.
Okay, well, I see Ira's hand up, and then Beatrice.
Hi, I'm Ira Kaufman, and Susan and I go back about 30 years.
Yep.
When she founded one of the first truly innovative impact organizations in the world called the Social Venture Network. And I was a lowly fundraiser, walking the streets of New York and meeting all of these people who were connected. She connected people's families who have money to invest in the future. And I realized many years ago that this lady of light and love and generosity really is a name which I coined for her as the mother of impact investing in my book, which she wrote a chapter in. And I really think that's really important, because as we look at COP26 and the world we're in, the most important element of transaction in the world is impact investing. How we create strategies and ratings for mobilizing money, which is fiat money, into money which is going to create sustainability. And I think Susan, it was the mother of that, using underutilized resources of rich people and having the vision to try to transform that in many, many, many great, great projects around the world. So I am very, very grateful for that that direction she's given the world and inventing this idea of impact investing, which not many people give her credit for. And it's a blessing that we have had the opportunity through Steve for me to actually meet this person who I looked up to for many years through our collaboration at Vilcabamba with the Global Transformation Corps, and trying to invest in the real true impact of the future, which is the next generation, and how we make these people the stewards of the earth with human values, human-based business practices and technology, and even utilizing a new kind of currency, the seeds currency, to really create a transformative element in the world in the model in Vilcabamba. So I'm very grateful for her love and her generosity, which is one of her middle name. It's called Susan Generosity Davis. So we love you, Susan. Thank you.
I think we're going a little too far here, guys.
Awesome. Okay. Beatrice. And then I do want to extend the invitation, especially for the KINS alumni who have not had a chance to speak. So I saw Artemis raise his hand, Sharon Joy, if you'd like to say something, Georgette, a couple other folks that we haven't heard from. So Beatrice, you're next.
Thank you so much. And hello, everyone. I'm talking here from the core of my heart because Susan and Walter were one of my best first friends here in Vilcabamba when I arrived, and my family came with me. And, you know, being new kid in town and start with a project that is visionary, revolutionary, normally you get resistance, lots of resistance. But it didn't happen that way with Susan and Walter. Actually, they were one of those pillars, have been in my life and in my mission here, one of those pillars that have sustained me and coached me and been cheerleaders, that I hope, Susan, that I can give back to you 1,000 times of what you have given to me to be able to jumpstart myself in Vilcabamba, get that wonderful friendships and connections that came through you. Tell you that you are a great inspiration for younger generations. And in the darker times, we do remember the good models. We do remember who was smiling. I was one day so miserable and Susan just gave me an ice cream and said this famous phrase of the best things come of the worst things. You know, so those are things that I remember, I will remember, and I will also multiply. I do that also for my people, Susan. So keep on doing the good work, keep on inspiring people. And thank you so much for your friendship and being a family for us too. Thank you.
God bless you.
Okay, Artemis, did I see your hand up?
Yes, I would love to add my words of gratitude to Susan and her belief in my work and our work together to help create the social investor circle. I'm so proud of the kind of career I was able to launch in the work that we all did together, the collaboration of collaborations, and now full circle to seeds and my involvement there. And I just want to say what a deep appreciation I have, not just for you, Susan, but for your daughter, who I adore, and to see her, and Walter, for your love of this wonderful woman. I don't know how you hold her down, but she's grounded with you in the best sort of way. And to all our wonderful times together, Susan, and to many, many more in the future. So thank you so much for making this possible. Happy birthday.
Thank you. We have to thank you, Artemis, because this man, we were trying to, you know, create the social investment industry, but you know, financing the new companies, particularly the ones that are socially responsible, is a real challenge. And Artemis was so good. He had wanted to go into social venture investments. And he asked me, or I asked him, I think, I would love to, it would take me a year, but I would love to do the research to find the to go into the venture capital industry and find the people who were doing it consciously and who wanted to make social investing happen. And God bless him, he did. And that let me start my company, because I was doing a for-profit company that really didn't make much money. It was just trying to do social good. And so by him giving me that year, it let me get really established as a respectable personage in the whole investment industry, but in particular in venture capital, which is the tough guys. You know, when I went to the venture capital companies with a fantastic deal, everyone told me it was fantastic. And I met the top people in the country because people like Artemis were introducing me. Every single one of them would give me this glowing review and then say they were so sad personally because their company wasn't allowed to invest in women. I took a year doing that, right? So Artemis, I've always held in my heart as this prince of like prince of possibility and good things. And I've loved you from the beginning, my dear. So I just want to thank you in public.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, Georgette, and then Lucas. And then I also noticed we haven't heard from Alice, Sharon Joyce, probably other folks who haven't had a chance to
I
speak.
think Pete put his hand up at one point.
Okay. Georgette, let's hear from you.
Sure. I think actually Lucas had his hand up first if
Oh,
you'd like to
okay.
go ahead. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Okay,
no problem.
great.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Well, hi, everybody, and hi, Susan. Happy birthday. So nice to see you. I know it's been a very, very long time. And I just love seeing you and hearing you being credited with all this work that you've never claimed for yourself, right? It's from your generous spirit and, you know, let's get these things kind of taken care of, and, you know, really the credit doesn't really matter so much. So I appreciate, you know, all the work that you, Artemis, Ben, and many others have done with impact investing, because that allowed me to do my work in that from 2007 to 2012, and now I'm this generosity of spirit makes me think, okay, you know, and I think about your work in South Shore in Chicago on the South Shore, and right now I'm the vice chair of Nonprofit Finance Fund, which is a 40-year-old organization that it's a CDFI, and we're actually moving it to focus predominantly and center communities of color and focus on leaders of color. So we're changing, you know, the internal model much more so, and we've got a majority person of color board led by, you know, people of color, and it's pretty exciting for us. So I really appreciate, you know, as I think of all these seeds that you've laid, and these it's almost like a mental map, right? And I'm realizing how many of those tracks I'm following. So I really appreciate your support, your courage, and your bravery, and everything that you've done. So really, thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Georgette. Okay, Lucas.
Great, thanks. Now, Lauren, please tell me if it's just too loud where I am. I had to tune in from a cafe. Is this okay?
It is.
Great. Well, it's wonderful and a huge honor to be celebrating with you all, celebrating Susan's birthday, and to see all the amazing people that have come together for it, including my very old friend, Ben Bingham. As Walter mentioned, I've been working with the Kogi for a long time, and when the folks from GTC were in town, I mentioned that I had been very curious for a long time to see who these amazing people were that the Kogi had decided should be entrusted to do this work with the sacred site in the Kogi house. And once I met Walter and Susan, it immediately became clear why the Kogi had this faith in them. Totally inspiring, unique people taking on this great work of transforming systems at the local and the global levels. And since I'll get to celebrate with Susan in person being here in Vilcabamba, but I just wanted to say for people who aren't here or who haven't been here yet, that my feeling is that we've heard sort of a bit about all the amazing work Susan's done over her life, but I feel like the biggest work is what she's giving to the future and what's just beginning. And this next phase of KINS and what's happening at Finca Sagrada, it feels very future oriented, like it's the first seeds of something that will be transformational. So I'm really excited about that and look forward to connecting to everyone. Happy birthday, Susan.
From your mouth to God's ears.
Thank you, Lucas. All right, is Sharon Joy still with us? Yes, there she is. Sharon Joy. Can you unmute yourself? Okay, there she is.
Yes, my muting thing was flying. Hey, happy birthday, Susan. Hello, everybody. I actually met Susan by default. There was an IONS conference in Washington in about 2005, and I was so looking forward to meeting this guy called John Perkins because I wanted to hear about his book, Confessions of an Economic Hitman. And when I heard he was ill, I thought, oh my God, somebody's after him. He'll be dead. I'll never meet him. But of course, I have since. But one of the things that I decided to do was just take a chance and sign up for a workshop with Susan Davis. Never heard of Susan Davis, never heard of KINS. Excuse me. One of the things Susan had us do, excuse me, was to bring some soil of our home where we lived. And she got some big pots from the kitchen. And we stirred the soil from people from all over the country and all over the globe who were in that room. And here is mine. Now, the plastic is indeed disintegrating. The ribbon is still holding. And I carry this soil with me as an inspiration. And in fact, we did the same thing when we started KINS in Tampa Bay. And Susan and Walter came with being very clear that I could not talk to them in the morning because they meditated. And I didn't talk to them in the morning, but we made up for it ever since. And the really special thing to share, besides what I just did, is one of the sites we centered our KINS beginnings, KINS Tampa Bay, was at a sacred site over on the western side of St. Petersburg, where I am, where the Spaniards actually landed in 1528 to begin colonizing North America. And thankfully, only 4 of them made it. One of them was Cabeza de Vaca, and I understand some of that land is up where Hannah has property up in Crestone, Colorado. Yes. So all these wonderful networks, and I think that is, again, a tribute to Susan, of she gathers us the soil of the universe and stirs it in a big pot, and the mysteries and the stories are up to us. So thank you, Susan. Thank you, Walter, for your ongoing collection. And I just texted, or I guess chatted to Nancy, who says she's in Florida. I think we should have a KINS Florida. So with that, I say thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Sharon Joy. Okay. As the people are starting to have to leave, Pete, let's hear from you.
And then George, we'll hear from you later. George Arbelian, please.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, Susan. Happy birthday and huge, warm, loving hugs to you. I just love being with you guys so much down there and Finca Sagrada and actually being in your presence. And this group of people that have come together to celebrate you is just such a wonderful celebration of humanity and people dedicated to human development. And I just want everybody to really feel each other's hearts and the field of resonance that we create with each other. And I'd also like to bring in, for people who haven't been to Finca Sagrada, I would like you just maybe close your eyes and imagine a massive shaft of the most brilliant light from the universe that's bathing Finca Sagrada in the highest frequency of energy, the highest frequency of light, the highest frequency of love that you can possibly imagine. And this wonderful energy is just saturating the land in Finca Sagrada. And it's right now also saturating every cell in your body and enlightening you, and with connection to universal consciousness, connecting you with universal love, and connecting you with light. And this resonance that we share is what's going to transform this planet into a higher frequency. So I just would like everybody to really, really feel these connections that we have through our hearts, and try to maintain this in your consciousness, because it is a field of resonance. And I believe that this is what is going to raise human consciousness and the vibration of the planet to where we can ascend to a more perfect world, a more beautiful place for existence. And we're all part of, and everybody on this planet can contribute to this. So I just would, want to, just immense gratitude and love for Susan for bringing this tribe together, and what started here, I think, is just going to continue and expand. So bless you all for the work that you do, and bless Susan and Walter for the work that they're doing there. So just love you guys, love you all so much.
Thank you, Pete.
God bless.
All right. And George, are you still with us? Wait, where did George?
Yes, I am.
There you are. There you are. Awesome.
Thank
George
you.
likes to listen. So thank you for sharing.
Well, thank you. I'm just going to share, if you can see where I am. This is at my home in San Francisco. I'm a surfer. And I was introduced to Susan by Marion Rockefeller Weber. And Marion and I have known each other for about 30 years. And she said, you have to meet Susan Davis. So I did. And my parents came over from Europe through meeting at a displaced persons camp in Hamburg, Germany after World War II. And so I acknowledge the trauma of people being through difficult situations and coming together. And I also acknowledge our consciousness creating a new reality on this planet, and the healing we're in the process of right now, and the role of the United States of America as being a place where people from different countries that have suffered come together to create a new world and recognize their potential collectively. And that this is a chance for us to really manifest that on the planet at this time. And I look forward to co-creating with all of you. We have the solutions, they're in place. Instead of short-term profits, we can shift to cascading benefits of biomimetic solutions. We can shift this planet right now to a regenerative future.
Yes.
And the United States is in a perfect position to lead the way as a change agent for this. We just have to help the organizations get there. But that's what I'm here for, to work with all of you to do that. So love, light, and flow to all of you. And thank you for co-creating together. Aloha.
Well, George, you just blew my mind, because you went and found the people who had the real solutions and needed the funding, and because they were such extraordinary innovations, they weren't getting. It wasn't happening. We were going down the wrong valley, worse and worse. So I can't remember ever being as hopeful about saving Earth as when I met you and found out what you were doing. I just hold you on a huge pedestal.
Well, thanks, but we're all in it together, and
I'm going to hold you on a pedestal anyway.
All right. Well, thanks, Susan. And I just acknowledge everybody's role in this. It's our consciousness shared, but you know, the beautiful part is that, you know, every coach you've ever gone to, whether it's a piano teacher that helps you hold your hands a certain way, or a swim coach that helps you float better and get through the water, every coach helps you do stuff easier. The fact that we're living on this planet and we've started with the Wright brothers and you know, airplanes made out of canvas and sticks, and now we've just unleashed the James Webb telescope into the universe, and we had horse and buggies, and now we have Formula One cars. Why are we still having children? Starving.
Oh.
And, you know, not having a chance to realize the potential. So that's inexcusable to me. That's not my plan. And we have to change, and we will.
Yes, we do.
And the people in this room and in this community have the network and the connections and the power to make that change. So thank you so much for bringing your heart, and each one that has spoken. I mean, I know George more than many of the others of you, but there are amazing networks of people that they are connected to that do have the solutions. So we are reweaving what Susan has started with KINS into something even more beautiful. So it's an honor to be part of this. Okay, I see Sheila has her hand up.
Yeah, I'll be real quick. To Susan, the ultimate pedestal holder for so many people. You are always raising everybody up to their highest potential of the people that you connect with. I so appreciate you. I'm always in the background with the work that's being done by Steve and Lauren and you, and cheering you on. And it was a pleasure to get to meet you. I love the farm and hope to return someday. And it's been an honor to listen to all the praise that has come forward for you in this meeting. And I'm just, I'm very touched by what you have set forth and started in your life, and the ripples continue to go. So it's been a pleasure to be part of the group in the background. Love you.
Thank you very much, Sheila. Thank you.
All right, well, we have gone well over. I don't see any other hands up. I want to open the invitation one more time if anyone else wants to just say a couple of quick words.
Christina. Why not?
Hi, Susan. Happy birthday. Well, where should I start? I came here at the Kogi retreat, and I saw you in the very first 10 minutes or something, and the connection was there. And in the first 2 hours, I came to Walter and I was like, I want to stay here. I want to volunteer here. And Walter was like, oh, well, send me an email or something. So, so I ended up here. I wanted to stay 2 weeks. And after 3 days, I said to Walter and to you, if it's okay, I would like to stay longer. I don't know how long, but, and until this day, I'm so stoked to be here, being surrounded by you guys. You're such an inspiration. You're attracting the right people for whatever it is. Even if it's this big mission of connecting to Earth and connecting people who are those visionaries, those inspirations for me and for so many young people I know. It's such a blessing and such an honor to be around you and to be around your wisdom, to be around your love, your generosity. And yeah, I'm deeply grateful.
And Christina is now part of our team. She is going to be assisting with our social media outreach plan. And she's working closely with Susan and Walter. She's been already assisting Walter with Finca Sagrada and working on lots of projects. So we're very excited to have you as part of the team. And hello, Eric. Yeah.
Hello. I guess I can say something. Susan, first off, happy birthday, and excuse my funny hat. With Andres and Jose gone today, I was in charge of operations on Finca Sagrada, so this was my manager hat. But I came to Finca Sagrada not for any particular reasons other than that it seemed like an interesting place to live. And I had a conversation with Susan right the first day that we met, and she talked about what she had done in her life. And I said, aha, this woman has done all of the things in her life that I'm currently trying to do with my own life and the things that I'm building towards. And everything from microfinance and working with people that are underserved and lifting people up, all of these things are what I've worked towards my whole life and I'm continuing to work towards. And so it's an honor to be around you, to listen to your wisdom, hearing today all of the people whose lives you've impacted. It inspires me to continue to work towards something with the KINS network. I can't wait to have my own one day. I finished your book today, finally. And some of the people that I read about in that book, which were these fantastic characters, were here in this meeting. So that was very surreal to experience this. So thank you for sharing everything with us. Thank you for sharing everything with the world. And I look forward to giving you a nice big hug this afternoon.
Yeah.
Look forward to that. Yes, indeed.
Awesome. Okay, so what I'd like to invite Susan to do is close out the meeting with her beautiful song, and we'll record this and send it out.
And what I love about it is no one knows who really started it. You just spread it because it's not owned by anyone. It's a heart. It's from the heart for every one of us. I just love that part of it. So, okay.
And you can sing along if you'd like and unmute yourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. My voice is a little bit off anyway, so feel free. Okay. We are here. We are here. Keepers of the garden. We are here. When night comes, when night comes, who is not you and me? We are here. We are here. Keepers of the garden. We are here.
Woo! All right, thank you everyone. And for future engagement, please feel free to reach out to me, and I will be doing as much of the coordination on behalf of Susan and Walter and Kinship Earth. And look forward to staying in touch. Watch your emails, and we'll be reaching out to you in the days and weeks to come. So.
Great job, Lauren. I just want to applaud your dedication, everything that you did to make this happen.
Yeah, you don't miss a thing. Oh my God, it's incredible. So many surprises for me. I can't tell you how overwhelmed I feel.
Yay.
With
well, we needed a whole weekend, but we got a couple hours. So there's more to come. We'll keep this thread and this web weaving. Beautiful.
Okay, everybody.
Thank you,
Thanks for being here.
Pleasure to see everyone.
Thank you.
Happy birthday,
everyone.
Great seeing everybody.
Great
nice seeing you, Lucas, Nancy.
Nice to see you.
Happy birthday, Susan.